Well, glory be and mercy me, we're doing it again. Today's subject gets into fairly dark territory fairly quickly. I read an article, listened to a podcast called I Am Madeline. I highly suggest everyone goes and seek this out. I Am Madeline. Madeline is the pseudonym that is given to the woman who is experiencing what I have to call the Eugenics project here in Canada. She's a disabled woman whose disability could be alleviated through medical treatment, which she is being denied. And so she is being given the choice, if you can call it that, between a slow and agonizing, paralyzing death, or to go through the medical assisted dying program that has just been erected here in Canada and allow a doctor to take her life, easing her burdens, so to speak. This I call a eugenics project because it's occurring exactly as I thought it would. When we erected the medical assisted dying program, I said this will be used as a way to funnel the disabled, the elderly, the vulnerable into this medical assisted dying program instead of actually attempting to improve the quality of life of these people. When I look at the long-term care home system, which has been cruelly manipulated by the Conservative Party under Mike Harris and now Doug Ford, in order to neglect, disparage, discard, and dismiss our most vulnerable citizens, our elderly, into bug-filled, molded food, shit-filled, neglected shitholes, it becomes very difficult for me to conclude anything other than this is an intentional plan to dismiss and do massive harm to our elderly, to our disabled, so that we can just shuffle them out the door as quickly as possible. The capitalist death cult views these people as a problem, and it's finding the most efficient way of dealing with this problem, which is to neglect them and destroy their environment and refuse treatment of them to such a degree that the only option that will be left to them is to consent to these medically assisted dying programs, which they will eventually concede to, because the alternative is to die in a grueling, harrowing, slow, painful way, incapable of actually fighting back as their body betrays them, just as we betray them. This is a form of eugenics. We should not be surprised by this, considering that the current Liberal Party are Nazi collaborators. Chrystia Freeland has armed and trained Nazi groups. Well, hello. Well, hello. We've got a little dog in the mix. That's quite all right, friend. Oh, a little moment of joy, a little break of joy. Why not? Why not? Chrystia Freeland has armed and given training to Nazi groups in the Ukraine. Our Liberal Party are Nazi collaborators. We shouldn't be too surprised when they double down on Nazi-style policies, such as the Eugenics project. We are a culture that is abandoning our responsibilities to our weakest citizens. It is obvious now. Madeline's story alone should tell you that this is the truth. That instead of seeking to increase the quality of life, instead of seeking to make her life better, instead of attempting to alleviate her pain and her suffering for the rest of the journey that she has in front of her, we're just trying to shuffle her out the door. Because there's no money in helping people. There's no money in alleviating suffering. There's no money in that. That the culture of abandonment that we are erecting around us, this psychopath culture that seeks first and foremost to make wealth for a small group as we collapse into this techno-feudalism. It's becoming harder and harder for me to take these death cultists seriously. I find it difficult to maintain a system or a thought process that contemplates them as actual humans. It becomes harder and harder for me as we move forward and as I learn more. What kind of a person abandons a disabled person? When I was younger, I knew a couple who adopted a child, and they weren't informed that that child had severe disabilities. They only discovered it as the child grew. And plenty of people asked them, the institution itself said, oh, well, we can take that child back, we'll give you a new one. And they said, no, we're going to give her the best quality of life that we can. And of course, they received support from the state, given the circumstances. And plenty of people, I have said to them, that's a very good thing that you did for that young lady. And their response was very beautiful, which is, well, anyone would have done this. And as I've grown, I've come to see the naive beauty of that statement that's come from them. Because that's not true at all. That's not true even remotely. That, no, not everyone would have done that. And it's becoming more and more obvious that not everyone would have done that. Is this the world we want to live in? Honestly and true. Really put that in your gut and really allow yourself to think about it. Is this the type of world we want to live in? Where we inflict and maximize the suffering of our poorest citizens and then put a piece of paper in front of them that says, and say, sign this and all the suffering will end? Is this the world that we want to create for future generations? Are these the choices that we want to give to our citizens? Because it is the choices that we are giving to them. We are funneling our society down into this project of eugenics, where if the universe decides to strike you down, we are deciding as a people that we will not pause for a moment to lift you up, We will not pause for an instant to give you the care you need, the support you need. No, no. When you fall down, we will leave you behind. And the only small mercy that we will grant is to pause momentarily to put a bullet in your head. There is nothing credible left about this culture. There is not one institution, there is not one organization, there is not one single authority figure in this culture that has credibility any longer. We are in a dying culture, a dying society. If we want to build a better place for the next generation, if we want the world to improve at all, we must seize power from these eugenic psychopaths. We must take from them all of their authority and all of their power. And the way to do that is to surround the halls of power, to redraw a new constitution that includes housing and food as a charter right or a constitutional right explicitly stated, that includes care of the citizenry, that includes compassion and empathy and love for one another. We have no alternative. If we do not surround the halls of power and begin governing ourselves, we will watch a eugenics death cult erect around us and oppress us as badly as any other dark and evil regime this world has ever seen. I truly wish I was being hyperbolic. But if we are willing to abandon our elderly and our disabled for money, then we're certainly willing to do it to each other. I think this will be the end of this video. Like, share, subscribe. We need more voices speaking out against the capitalist death cult. We need more people talking about these issues. We need more people talking like adults, actively attempting to resolve these situations instead of childishly ceding power to a group who has obviously abandoned us. Please consider donating to my Patreon. My live stream, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come in, grieve with me, organize with me. Good luck. We're gonna need it.